Welcome back to part 2 of the Sandton Times podcast, episode 26, week 39 of 2020, on location at the Sun City Resort in Northwest Province of South Africa. We're spending 2 days here reacquainting ourselves with Sun City as the Valley of the Waves becomes the next attraction to open at the resort, and take a look around. I must be honest, not everything is 100% quite yet, and COVID-19 protocols add a whole new dimension to the experience. So if you're looking to visit Sun City in the next few weeks, just factor in a bit more time to get through all the procedures, and consider that certain elements are work in progress. I just saw a tweet now that popped up on Twitter, and somebody was saying, it took them 45 minutes or something to get into Sun City itself. There's a bit of a process at the gate where they sort of check the cars, and they check you have to fill in forms, and do all the COVID-19 checking, and that obviously does create a little bit of a backlog, even though there's no day visitors coming in at the moment. It's only residents, but these things do take time, so just bear that in mind, and just we always keep talking about this COVID-19 rust that needs to come off, so just keep that in mind. Take everything with a little bit of a pinch of salt as you go through the process, but let me leave it at that. So one of those things that people come to Sun City and the Lost City for is golf. And if you're an avid golfer, I would say I'm an avid golfer, but I don't get to play often enough. But it's one of those courses that you just have to play, with all the beauty that surrounds you, the wildlife that you get to see, and also just a fantastic destination to be able to play on. And I'm joined by Ken Payet, Tournament Director of the Nedbank Golf Challenge. Ken, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Well, Ken, I think let me ask the question that many avid golfers are asking. What is the state of the course? What is it looking like? And how you've been keeping it for the last 6 months?
Yeah, first of all, we are open, and the courses are looking immaculate. We just need a little bit more rain. Yeah, we're coming out of winter, going into summer now, so we've done all our spring treatment, we've done all our holotining, that's all done and dusted, and we just can't wait for that rain to come. Normally by mid to end of October, but the greens are nicely covered, the players are enjoying themselves, and I just can't wait to host more and more golfers every single day.
Well, what's the demand been like ever since you've sort of officially reopened?
The demand has been incredible, especially over weekends. Now this long weekend as well, but weekends generally, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, it's high in demand. But even during the midweek now, we're nice and busy. And from now until probably, I would say, mid-January, we are nice and busy. So generally over Christmas and New Year we're quiet, but I think this year with a lot of restrictions on travel, and maybe the increase on domestic travel in and around South Africa, I think we're going to be seeing a very, very busy resort.
Based on the introduction that I made, I think the next big question to ask is the Nedbank Golf Challenge. That's not happening this year, is it?
Unfortunately not. No, it's not.
And that must be impacting the resort also quite a bit, because that used to be, when it comes to the sporting calendar, when it definitely comes to the golf calendar, that was one of the big events of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the biggest. It's Africa's major. It's the biggest social event on the African continent, and it was sad. It's devastating, but I think it was the right call. Under the circumstances, under these restrictions, there's just no ways that we can host an event like we know and love over the last 39 years, and also being our 40th edition. We wanted to celebrate it. We want to be out there socializing, crowds, thousands and thousands of crowds coming to enjoy the golf, hospitality, marquees, night entertainment, beach party, casinos. There's just no ways that we'll be able to do that. And from a resort perspective, yes, it is. It's devastating, especially from our revenue and also the employment opportunities that we create over that period of time. But we just got to be responsible and do the right thing and start planning for next year.
So what is the plan for next year? Is it to literally postpone it till the next one at the end of next year? Or is there a chance that you might do one early on next year and do the one later on in the year?
So it's completely cancelled for this year. So we'll start planning for the dates at the moment are not confirmed, but we have penciled them in for mid-November. That could move out to December, but we working closely with the European Tour, Nedbank, our title sponsors, and us as the rights holder, Sun International, and we will come up. Just remember, the European Tour, the PGA Tour schedules are all over the place at the moment, so there's nothing really concrete with regards to dates for the tournament, but we ideally would like to see that mid-November or that first week in December dates.
So Ken, what kind of things have you put in place now for the golfers? I mean, golf was always one of those sports that from the beginning a lot of people said, why can't we play golf? It's automatically a social distancing kind of sport. I mean, there's not like it's a team sport. You know, there's maximum maybe 2 people playing at the same time if they need to. And there's a lot of space on each fairway, so you don't really need to, sort of cram everyone onto the small spot. But what additional measures have you put in place to make golf extra safe, I guess?
Yeah, well, that's a nice thing about golf, and as you said, you can socially distance. You can keep away from. Sometimes you need to keep away from your partner that's not playing very well. But
tell me about it. Yeah, I hear you.
But the nice thing is that golf came back quite relatively early compared to other sports, and the golfing bodies within South Africa lobbied hard with government, and they did a fantastic job. In addition to that, we got the usual social distancing measures, sanitizing. What's a challenge for us is golf carts, so we make sure we've got actually a sanitizing station that we have at the Lost City Golf Course, because it's compulsory carts, that the sort of drive-through sanitizing station that happens every second day. The caddies as well, they've been unemployed for the last 5-6 months now, so they come back, they've got masks, they've got face shields, they sanitize before they go out. From a golf course point of view, the golf setup, we try and keep bunkers, the bunker rakes away from bunkers, so we have a dedicated caddy walking with each group that rakes bunkers. And also the flags, we try not to encourage people to touch the flag. And then the actual cup that the ball goes into, we've actually turned it upside down so that the ball doesn't go too far down. So it just reduces that impact or that touching of the cup or flag. So yes, measures put in place. What we struggle with at the moment is the capacity within clubhouses. So we can't have prize givings. We can't have too many people congregated in a given area. So I think
halfway house, is that still an issue?
So halfway house, yeah, absolutely. So again, halfway house at Lost City, it's a grab and go. At Gary Play, it's a sit down, so it's nice. It's spacious. We've got quite big areas between tables, and that's part of the experience, that halfway house experience. So we want to try and keep it as much as possible. But the nice thing is that we've got a 1 tee start now. 8 o'clock is the first tee time. And we can really keep the golfers or the 4 balls apart when they are playing, as long as it's 10-minute intervals.
And things like locker rooms and those sort of public areas, are those open, or is that also very limited?
Yeah, so very limited. So again, just restricting the amount of people going to the locker rooms. Although, as and when the lockdown level has eased. Now we can actually use the lines of locker facilities, but unfortunately you have to bring your own towel, which is. Anyway, it is what it is, but we try and encourage the residents to go and shower in their hotels. But if it's day trippers, you can come to the locker rooms, you can utilize the facilities, but you have to bring your own towel.
Has there been any changes in the fees to play on any of the courses?
So we've, in general, just to try and get the demand back, we've decreased the green fee slightly. We've got some great value-added packages from accommodation point of view that was on our website. We've actually had to stop the weekend packages because it's so popular at the moment, and so that's a good sign. So we're trying to focus now midweek. So yeah, we're just trying to create value add, not just the green fees that are decreased, but what we try to do is include accommodation. We've got some great specials coming in 2021, so really excited about those.
And Ken, a lot of your golfers over the past couple of years have also come from overseas. Is that now an opportunity for a lot of South Africans to maybe finally play a course that they maybe not had a chance to play before because it was always very busy, very much in demand?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's always seasonal. South African golfers, especially Sun City, they make an effort to come and play at Sun City. So it's about the amount of times that they can come, and we've got to make it affordable and value for money. I think with respect to the South African domestic tourism market, yes, we need it, and absolutely, we need that constantly all the time. But we can only rely on that for so long, because just remember, there's a lot of South Africans that don't have that disposable income at the moment. So they're working hard, they've got less income. So we rely on those international tourists, especially your December, January, February, March period. With that comes foreign exchange. They tend to spend more. And yes, we need it, but at the moment we're focusing on South Africa, on South Africans, and I tell you what, South Africans are fanatical. They love Sun City, they love these 2 golf courses, they want to play them, and we appreciate and are very grateful that they can come up and support us. Without them, this place wouldn't exist.
Okay, now that you're back in the swing of things, that you're really sort of hands-on with people coming and playing, what's sort of occupying your mind now for the next sort of quarter going into 2021? What's keeping you busy?
Well, our focus is getting this resort to the very highest of standards. It's customer first. The guest experience needs is way up there on our to-do list. And really what we want the guests to come and visit Sun City, not only the golf courses, but there's so much to offer on the resort, Valley of the Waves. You just have good fun. Come and enjoy yourself, come and relax, and we will look after you. But at the moment, it's focusing on the resort and getting ready for that very, very busy period which has started already. And then early next year, sort of your January, February, we'll start planning for the Nedbank Golf Challenge. You know, it's a tournament that happens in November, but normally planning starts literally the week after the Nedbank Golf Challenge. So last year we already started planning for 2020 already, and it's just amazing how the team gets together. So we'll be focusing sort of February, March next year on planning for Nedbank Golf Challenge. And then obviously the resort as well. There's so many new additions to the resort that we're working on, new restaurants, new facilities, and it's ever evolving and improving as we go along.
You were touching on the weekends being quite busy with the golf, so Monday to Friday seems to still be very fair game. I know that there's a limitation on people coming as day visitors to the resort for now, but if I want to play a round of golf on a Wednesday and I've got a free day, can I shoot up from Joburg and come play a day of golf? Can I get access for the day?
Absolutely. So the golf courses are open to day trippers as well, depending on how busy we are. Especially on a Saturday, we try and restrict it to residents and MVG card holders only. But during the week, there are tee times available, especially your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So the best thing is to do is phone our golf reservations and see what availability there is. But we definitely do encourage day trippers to come up and play golf.
Well, Ken Payet, Tournament Director, Nedbank Golf Challenge, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. And hopefully we'll get to tee off soon at some point, and look forward to seeing how green the greens are.
Awesome. Pleasure. Thank you.
So staying at Sun City, staying at the Lost City, there's probably no more iconic hotel than the Palace of the Lost City. It's probably one of my favorite hotels to come to, and it's been going for well over 21 years now. And the man sitting right opposite me, I have to say, has a bit of Sandton heritage as well. Josiah Montsho, General Manager at the Palace of the Lost City. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Great to have you.
Thanks so much for having us.
It's a great pleasure. Hope you enjoy your stay.
Yeah, but listen, we're having a good time. It's fascinating to watch a five-star hotel having to operate in a COVID-19 space. I mean, it must have been such a rethink for you.
Indeed, without a doubt. And I mean, who would have ever thought that we'll reach a stage where the hotel or the resort has to close for more than 5 months. However, having said that, we're grateful for the President Ramaphosa and the Minister of Tourism have allowed us to open the tourism sector on the 2nd of September. So we thought opening a resort was going to be just a slow start, staggering. My goodness, the first weekend, it was just unbelievable. But nonetheless, it's great to see that South African tourism, South African domestic sector is very, very supportive. We've heard nothing but great feedback so far, and really we're looking forward to welcoming South African domestic while we're still waiting for international borders to open.
Josiah, let's get into the nitty-gritty of running a five-star hotel
Yes.
and having to make these adjustments. I mean,
Absolutely.
we all know you go to the Tourism Grading Council and they tell you have to have a wine bottle opener and you have to have a shoehorn and you have to have all these sort of bells and whistles when you come to a five-star hotel to be able to be called a five-star hotel. And suddenly you're faced with a situation where you're having to almost eliminate or rethink the way you do these high touch point articles. How did you even start dealing with that, and what solutions have you come up with?
Look, it's quite important. I mean, having obviously got the guidance from WHO, and after you said the Grading Council, and the expectations of making sure that, because the coronavirus is something that is transferable. So from the guidance of the tourism guidance, sector, and from the tourism grading from the WHO, we have to adjust. Whoever ever thought that one day you'll be wearing a mask?
Sure.
Whoever ever thought that you got to sanitize? I don't know how many times you sanitize a day.
Well, I've even got sanitizer and my amenities now. I've got shampoo, conditioner, and a sanitizer.
Absolutely. And those are the adjustments that you've got to make to make sure that our guests feel nothing but before. Remember, many years ago, the guest was about loyalty. Now it's about safety. So the guests will only come to the property when they know But first, safety is key. So we have to, as like you said, adjust certain things. Hence, upon check-in, you've been requested by a receptionist to say, ma'am or sir, would you like your room to be turned down? So those are things that we never ever would have expected a 5-star hotel to be asked. But now we are forced to, because of limiting touch points, limiting number of accesses in the room, we have to be asked, would you want us to change your bedding? Would you want us to change your towels? Things like cushions in the rooms, we have to remove them. Things like your cups and saucers, I'm sure you have seen.
Yeah, they're all sort of wrapped up and,
They are now in the sleeve. The remote control is now in the sleeves, just to give a sense of security, a sense of the fact that you're the first person to touch that item.
I mean, you've even put a seal on the toilet seat. You've got a seal on the door before we even got in.
Absolutely.
To say that, the room's been
sanitized.
Checked. Yeah.
Absolutely. The room had been forked. So those are the stuff that we have to follow with regards to the COVID-19 protocols.
Well, that adds a whole nother level to your operations, and even from a cost perspective. I mean, that must have taken a whole nother level of budgeting to now add in all these additional stickers and sleeves and boxes and wrappers.
Without a doubt. There's no way we could have avoided it. Even if you look at our breakfast, we have to adjust our breakfast. Where we used to have a buffet breakfast where some of the items, or rather most of the items, were just from the shaving dish. Now they've been atomized with the bottles, with the seal. So that's not only even adding to the cost, but adding to manpower as well. Because remember, now the chef has to employ particular people to go who would just do nothing but dedicated to the work to wrap those things, put them in individual bottles. So yeah, unfortunately it does, but we're happy that customers are acknowledging that and are grateful and appreciative of that.
Sai, I mean, you've been in this business for a long time. I mean, you're a hotelier, professional in this space. You've now had to adapt from a place where you've gone from almost to a total standstill back into full operation. People are coming here with high expectations. They're expecting the Palace of the Lost City as if COVID-19 never happened. Is that COVID-19 rust that a lot of people refer to in the hospitality space, is that completely gone? Or are you happy with everything right now? Or do you think you're doing a little bit more tweaks and changes before you're 100% happy with operations and the way things are running?
Look, so far we're getting feedback from our clients. It's obviously a mix of feedback. And there's nothing good for me than rather a very constructive feedback. We are getting really, really very good constructive feedback. Yes, the elements of improvement, which we appreciate, and we know that, and that's something that we expect. And that's what we're dealing with at the moment. It's our first month that we've reopened, and we're looking forward to great improvement. And I'm glad that customers are giving us that feedback, because without feedback, there's no way we'd be able to know that we are actually meeting or exceeding our customers' expectations, which is really what we want to achieve.
It's a time now where a lot of people are taking the opportunity to travel in South Africa. A lot of people normally have sort of prioritized going overseas, or they've said, well, you know what, I've never been able to sort of afford to go to a lot of these fancy places. A lot of places are adjusting their rates. Is something similar happening here at the Palace as well?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Not only the Palace, the entire resort. Right now, with the Cascade still going under refurb, we've actually adjusted our rates. Our rates are phenomenal. We've got great attractive rates because we know financially, economically, and from what I've observed, while we're still waiting for international borders to open, we're trying by all means to attract domestic travel. And to do that, you've got to obviously adjust your rates. And we've got ample of attractive rates available on our booking sites. We run from Sunscape to Eastcapes, and even our gaming customers, they have different rates because we would love people to come and support us. We'd love people to come and enjoy the facility which is Sun City, and we're grateful for that. So please, we plead for the domestic travel to come in and support us at Sun City.
But weekends are looking quite busy already, aren't they?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So,
long weekends, we're already fully booked.
So it's time to maybe look Monday to Friday.
Indeed.
There's still some slots available. Yeah?
Absolutely. And those, obviously, because of the conferencing and of the social distancing, of the curfew, and now people are adjusting as well. You got a virtual, business. You got a now Skype. You got Teams. So most companies are adjusting of, why should I go and have a conference where I could do it, via Teams, via Skype, via virtual. And obviously, while we're still under the COVID-19 protocols, there's only a certain number of people that you can obviously accommodate. So we're adjusting on that. So we're hopeful that by level 1 or beyond level 1, we'll be opened up because our midweek business is purely driven by conferencing.
What was your international component looking like before the lockdown, before everybody wasn't allowed to climb on a plane and come to South Africa?
Look, for the palace, we're looking at between 30 and 40%. That's our market for the palace. That's why we're pleading. We cannot wait for the borders to open.
Josiah, let's quickly jump into your career. You spent a bit of time in Sandton. You ran one of the hotels in Sandton for quite some time. Now you're at the Palace of the Lost City. Is this one of those hotels where you kind of go, you know, I've arrived, I've made it. This is one of those iconic hotels that a lot of GMs would like to get their hands on and would want to look after?
Well, I'm glad you say that. This is what I've been in the hospitality industry for 3 decades. I remember in 1992 when I opened the hotel school in Mabatu in Mafeking, my first internship in 1993 was at the Palace, just a year after the Palace opened. And I always prayed and said, this will be one of my dreamers hotels to run as general managers.
That's amazing.
And I thank God to have afforded me the opportunity to run one of the best hotels in South Africa, and hopefully in Africa, or hopefully maybe in the world.
Well, you got to reveal, what were you doing when you did your internship? What was your job when you first arrived at the Palace all those years ago?
Wow, in the kitchen.
Washing the dishes or
that's
catching the onions?
That's where you got to start. You get thrown to wash the dishes, then you get thrown to giving a bag of potatoes to go peel, and then you go to a deep freezer to go count stock. Those are the things that you got to learn. And I work with the best chef in the world, and I heard that he's late, Chef Macon. May his soul rest in peace. One of the best chefs that I've learned from. Very humble man, but I've learned a lot.
So, often we get young people listening to this, people who are in the hospitality space, someone who's come from a situation where a few years ago you were sitting peeling onions or cutting onions and peeling potatoes in the kitchen.
Yeah.
A few decades later, running the hotel. What does it take, or what's the secret sauce to being successful in the hospitality space?
Look, my late father always said to me, my son, hard work pays. But having said that, this industry is not about how much qualifications you have. It's a calling. You got to drive it from the heart. You got to have the passion. You must have the drive. Because if you don't have that, you won't make it. And that's really because you deal with people. You got to serve. If you're not willing to serve, it's not one of those kosher industries you can just walk in there and be successful. So that's really what is required from the young leaders of tomorrow who are still at hotel school. This is a highly, highly demanding industry, but you got to love what you do. You got to have a drive, you got to have a purpose, and this, as I said, it's a calling. It's not a job.
Well, Josiah Montsho, I think I could speak to you for the whole afternoon, but I know you've also got a hotel to run that is getting busier and busier by the hour. Yeah. It is Heritage Week.
Absolutely.
And a long weekend, and I think there's a lot of South Africans, a lot of people from Sandton, from Johannesburg,
Absolutely.
who are wanting to get out. Yeah. So let me get you back to your position and to make sure that everything runs smoothly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, General Manager of the Palace at the Lost City.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving along as we're doing our tour of Sun City and getting to meet everybody. I mean, probably one of the most important people when it comes to any destination is the person who provides you with the food. I mean, people identify culture, destination with food memories, and now with Instagram and all these wonderful things, there's no meal that goes unphotographed most of the times. And sitting right opposite me now is Rocco Verster. He's the executive chef of the Palace of the Lost City. Rocco, you've had quite an interesting time having to adjust to COVID-19 and having to run a kitchen and a restaurant and a hotel under these conditions.
You're telling me it's been quite a challenge. I can't say I had experienced with this before, but certainly it's been a learning curve for all of us. Going to new, fresh, ideas and looking from different perspectives, from serving from buffet, all different levels of food. Yeah, it's been quite a challenge, but at the same time, we never are told to learn. So yeah, it's been quite a challenge, especially looking from COVID point of view. We had to. Our main focus was, as I always say to all our customers, is for people to sit down and feel safe, feel comfortable. To say that look at the buffets, look at the way we serve, the waiters serve, the chef serves, and they feel comfortable and feel them they're safe and in good hands. Because after all, safety is a priority at the Palace.
It's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that people immediately eliminated when all of this started and hospitality started opening up, they said, well, we're never going to have buffets again, or we're never going to have canapes again, or we're never going to have these things, because it just felt like it was a high touch or a high contact kind of interface. But you've managed to find a solution around it. We saw the breakfast that we had whilst we were here, And you've really come up with some really interesting sort of ideas as to how to manage a buffet without having to compromise a lot of the protocol and a lot of the safety aspects of it. Just take us through that.
The first thing that I did in COVID is, at the Palace we always surprise people. We always take people through behind what's been expected or people think it can be done. So the first thing I did in COVID during the lockdown period is get myself familiar and my chefs familiar with the COVID protocols. That was the first priority. That's safety and healthy issues right there. And then we didn't, we didn't went through the aspect of what will people think we don't do it. We went through what's going to work for us. After all, as people know, we probably have one of the best breakfast setups, buffets and offerings in the world. And we were known for our breakfast. So we don't want to compromise on the standard and the quality of that, but yet also, sit with the COVID protocols and adjust according to that. So, it took me a lot of research. I'll be honest with you. As a chef, we sit down and we phone chefs around us. We say what you guys are doing, and we're sharing ideas. And until we came up with a solution which we're currently having now, which I think we did pretty good. To have the offering, to have the look on the buffet, to have to feel the freshness, plus yet make people feel comfortable and to know that all protocols have been followed, and that's what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do, and we're still learning. We're still going through the process. This is not working. This is working. It might, from a perspective from a customer, works, but for us, back of us, there's some logistic problems we can find on a current basis. And as a chef, I need to be proactive. I need to kind of look what can be a problem in a week's time. We cannot carry on with the quality. And for me, as a chef, the quality of the food and consistency is one of the most important, and then health and safety after that as well, of course.
Well, I think having eliminated the buffet for breakfast would have been a huge disaster. Like you mentioned, it's one of the biggest buffets probably on the continent. It's always been known to be very diverse. I think you've got about 400 plus items.
432, yes.
Yeah, items that are rotating on this buffet, and you've kind of managed to kind of still make that work within these limitations. And maybe just to paint people a picture, you've got these shields that you've put up at each of the stations. So normally where you would maybe have a serving dish that you would serve yourself, you've got your team standing by. They're kind of serving everybody as they need scrambled eggs or baked beans or whatever that is. You've still got your sushi station, you've still got your cereals, but everything's in its own little bubble. So it's in a little glass jar, or it's in a little thing with a lid on it, or a little cork in it. You've come up with a whole bunch of different solutions on that point. Do you find that environmental impact, a lot of packaging, is that a concern for you, having to work through all of that as well? Because you're finding a lot of things sort of individually wrapped and individually packed, which it has to be from a safety perspective, but from an environmental perspective, maybe a little bit challenging?
It is. We are obviously, we also like any other chefs, we're looking at different aspects. Like we're looking at seafood. What is the endangered species? We don't want to touch it. We want to help the environment and and the ecosystem around it. We're also looking at different aspects as well. We started off with packaging, and it is a concern because it's labor intense, honestly. But again, health and safety for customers is more important than and it pushes the cost up of the buffet. It's double volume, same price. So we had to look at different options and different perspective and what's available. That's another thing. We've been locked down for 5 months, so nothing was working, nothing was selling. So come straight after lockdown, and now you need to start providing. And we test and trial during lockdown what's going to work. We actually did set up buffets, mock-up buffets to see what's going to work, and from our perspective. And honestly, some of the stuff after lockdown, after this COVID madness will go, we're probably going to keep some of the standards still because it's working for we got a high hygiene standard, and this will just push it a little bit more up. And make sure, and some of the stuff working. As you mentioned, we had small little bowls of little cute little salads and stuff, and now we just, as a chef, we said, well, how can we make it look sexy in the buffet? And now that but we can all put all different flavors into one cup, into one bowl, which we did. And what concerns me though is a lot of the customers said to me, Chef, I hope you're not going to change your buffet because this is awesome. So it is labor intense. Packaging is a problem. We're working through that. We try to also be environmental friendly as well. So we're trying to work through that as well. So whatever, the suppliers are amazing. They come with different. I get phone calls on the 3-4 times a week saying, Chef, I've got new ideas. I've got new things. We're going over now soon with little bowls that is leaf pressed. They're taking tree leaves and they compress it to the system, and it's edible. So it's environment friendly. It's It's cost a little bit more, but you know what? At the end of the day, if we can save the environment and keep our customers happy and safe at the same time, I think it's worth it.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of challenges that you have to balance, but at the same time, I'm also hearing that there's quite a few things that you've implemented that might be around for much longer than after this, because it seems like a good solution. And look, when we look at it now through the lens of COVID-19, there were so many things that were happening at buffets that should never have happened. I mean, there's horror stories. I'm sure everyone's got their own story of stuff that's happened at buffets where you thought, my goodness, like how many people have had their finger in here or then, taken the spoon and sort of tasted it before they stuck it back into. I mean, I'm not even going to go down this road. It's horrendous. So kind of, I guess it's given us all the chance to rethink things. But let's go through some of the other things that happen at hotels. Room service. Is that still happening? And how's that happening?
Absolutely. We take the same approach as room service. We took room service down, and as you mentioned now, stuff happened at buffet before, and even myself and my team look back is why we overlooked this. Protocols like the sneeze guards that's happening in buffets now, I'm not going to take it away. That for me, it's a wow factor. We sort of thought about COVID, open our eyes on that. So the room service, exactly the same story. We try to keep the standard, but everything's covered now. Nothing leaves, all COVID protocol. No food leaves the hotel, the kitchen, uncovered.
Right.
And same with room service. Now what we did now is we took the cutlery packs and we actually sealed them into a pack now. They're like salt and pepper shakers no longer exist. We now have proper, decent, closed packaging of salt and pepper, or 5-star standards. Tomato sauce no longer going to tomato sauce big bulk. We're going as all small portion, looks good, sealed properly by the suppliers. And same with the food. Everything goes in cloches or we don't do plastic wraps because that 5-stars doesn't work for us, but we covered it. We bought in extra equipment and cutlery and service gear to make it look good, smell good, keep the freshness of food, keep the quality of the food, but yet also everything must be covered. Even the room service trays has changed. The waiters has been trained. As you all know, no longer we're allowed to enter the room when a customer or a guest is in the room. We knock on the door, the customer opens, we step away 1.5 meters. So, ma'am, your room service has arrived, and the customer can take the meal in by himself. It's something we don't like to do. But if the customer gives the go ahead, he steps back 2.5 meters away. Then the waiter will push in the trolley, and then we don't open anything. Customer opens and we leave the trolley, we leave, and we phone him back half an hour later, and when he says ready, he pushes the trolley out, the customer, and the room service pick up the dirty laundry, if I can put it that way.
Yeah. Well, look, another big thing and another big attraction at the Palace has always been the high tea as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what, if you do nothing else, even if you're staying at one of the other hotels, you'd always make a plan to try and make the high tea one of those occasions you attend. What's that looking like now?
Well, it looks actually, I'm happy with the standards we're going through now, because we're going back to, before lockdown, we used to do a little buffet, high tea. To change, we like to do changes. We like to take things and notch it up a little bit. But can't happen now, because our height is very sensitive to little ingredients and little tartlets and parfaits and stuff. So you can't wrap, you can't close it. Sweats, it doesn't hold the temperature. So now we're going back to old-fashioned way of serving 3-tier stands.
Oh right, okay, like those sort of tea party sort of vibes,
the original, the old-fashioned original way of, and I think we'll stick with it for a long time, because our customer enjoys it now. We're having a few servings of high tea today, and they're like, "Oh, chef, you're going back to the old-fashioned way. I love it." So we're going to go 3-tier. Only difference is now we don't serve buffet. We still serve the same quality of food, but now the customer sit down and say, "Listen, I would like to have a high tea for 5 people." The waitress or the bartender or whoever serves them goes into the kitchen. They place the order. We pack them on to go, and it gets wrapped nicely into a little sift net going over. You take them to the customer. Customer sit down. We open in front of the customer and they enjoy the high tea.
Fantastic. Well, Rocco Verster, Executive Chef here at the Palace of Velocity, thank you so much for making the time to be with us and for being on this podcast.
Thank you very much for the effort, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Right, as we conclude this week's episode of the Sandton Times podcast, it's time for us to get into our events guide that we do every single week. Kicking off with Katie's Palace Bar. It's open again this Friday with DJ Louis from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Limited space is available, so please book in advance. Then Billy the Bums in Four Ways is continuing its September to Remember this Friday with a DJ lineup of Craig White and Don Vito between 7:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. And Saturday sees Shawnee B and Royal K return to the decks from 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. as well. You can see that level 1 midnight curfew is starting to ease things a little bit in terms of party going. Then Tiger's Milk this weekend also has their Hello Weekend DJ series from 5 p.m. with DJ Lady Leah at Tiger's Milk in Melrose Arch. There's a great 2-for-1 special from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then Altitude Beach Club in Four Ways is open this weekend as well. From Friday, it's 12 noon to 11:30 p.m. Saturday, it's 12 noon to 9:30 p.m. And Sunday, it's 12 noon to 11:30 p.m. as well. DJ lineup includes DJ Milkshake, Twins on Deck, and more. The Beach Rivonia this Friday has its Switch Fridays again from 1 p.m. till midnight. Then on Saturday, it's Saturdays in the Sand with live DJs, and on Sunday, they're Beach Braai Sundays with a buy one, get one free promo on cocktails and beer jugs. Masks are essential and no under 23s. The Greenhouse in Rosebank has outdoor greenhouse featuring Kimmy K on Friday and Saturday. No walk-ins and booking is essential. And the Grand in Rivonia is still trading Monday to Sunday from 12 noon to 9:45 p.m. Entrance fee is 500 Rand, and that includes your food. And that's our events guide for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in touch, email editor@sandtontimes.co.za. You can connect with us on @Sandton Times when it comes to social media. Visit the blog at sandtontimes.co.za, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review or rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, SoundCloud. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you to all my guests today here at Sun City. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. We're almost done with September. We're going into October shortly. I look forward to joining you again next week on location and wherever we are. Thanks for listening, and stay safe.